Hello parents and community members, my name is Russ Bennett, the Superintendent of the Aurora City Schools. And the purpose of this video is to share something that's very close to us all, school safety. Before I share my message, I ask that we keep the families and staff of the community of Chardon in our thoughts and our prayers. The tragedy that they experienced is one that will forever be in our minds. This recent tragedy hits close to home, but I want to reassure our parents and our community that we as a district are very cognizant of the safety and have it foremost in our minds. As a district, we practice numerous drills to prepare ourselves in case of a tragedy. Therefore, I thought I would take the time to inform you about the recent safety training that our staff has undergone, and also to let you know that we will be training our students in the coming weeks. Before I share these procedures with you, I'd like to take a moment to thank our Security Resource Officer, Michelle Ice, and Policeman Chris Ryder, along with our entire police department, Aurora, for supporting this training and for making school safety a priority. We've always had procedures in place here to ensure student safety, but the recent investigative research in school shootings has shown that some changes in school safety procedures needed to be made. In this video, I'll discuss what is called ALICE training. This new training is now the accepted model to use in case of school shooting and safety training, and this training that we are doing in our schools presently. To understand this new training, or ALICE training, let me share with you some of the older procedures that in many cases may be appropriate in certain situations. You know that each year our schools conduct a variety of trainings such as fire escape drills, tornado drills, bus evacuation. A number of years ago we incorporated and began conducting what was called lockdown drills. What this meant was if conditions arose that would cause a reason for an alarm, such as an intruder or a shooter, a possible shooting could be emergency or any other emergency situation, in the building we would call a lockdown. This meant that students would immediately take cover in their classrooms. Students may go under desks or seek protection from other classroom objects. Doors would be locked, lights turned off, and students would remain silent. Students stay in this lockdown mode until an all clear is given. This behavior is designed to have students become harder to see and remain out of sight. This procedure is designed to give more time for our police force to arrive. We are now updating the lockdown training into what we call ALICE training. So what is ALICE training and what's different with this procedure? Well, ALICE stands for Alert, Lockdown, Information, Counter, and Evacuate. ALICE is a new safety program that is nationally recognized and is an instructor program developed by law enforcement professionals from Texas. This program is currently sweeping the nation, and our district is also beginning to implement this program. Our teachers and staff have already been ALICE trained. In this training, decisions by teachers and staff may deviate slightly from a traditional lockdown, and it all depends on the situation that is at hand. Let's break down ALICE training now. A stands for Alert. When an emergency situation exists, staff and students will be alerted to all pertinent information. This information is critical to future decisions that will have to be made. Alerts to our staff will probably occur via our PA system within our building. The L stands for Lockdown. This is our traditional lockdown as just described previously. Presently, every door in our district is being evaluated and will soon be equipped with additional barricading supplies. This equipment will help secure doors so that they cannot be opened from the outside. We're also working with the staff and students to discuss and determine what additional things can be done to barricade a specific room. The obvious goal here is to stop entry into that room. The I stands for Inform. This is very similar to Alert, but our goal is to share as much information as possible what is happening inside the building. This could mean we could be conveying information via our PA system or phones or walkie-talkies so that everyone is aware of where the crisis or danger is occurring. Knowing this information will help in making decisions, such as deciding if it's best to remain barricaded or locked down, or if it's best to evacuate the building. C stands for Confront. If there is a continued threat and students are in lockdown in their rooms and the room then is compromised, at that point trying to protect themselves and lives at all costs will be implemented. They may attempt to confront the intruder in whatever way they can. This could mean throwing objects, which we call environmental weapons. It could be tackling the intruder or hitting the assailant, etc. All those things are possible. Examples of environmental weapons we have in rooms now are things such as staplers, books, cell phones, or anything that can distract the shooter and buy time for police to arrive. The goal here is to save lives. Some parents may say, I don't want my child to confront anyone. Certainly if that is your wish, we'll abide by your wish. But if you think about this scenario, maybe you'll see the other side. Imagine a shooter forces his way into a room and everyone is passively locked down underneath in an area where the shooter's main goal then is to harm. Sitting by passively may not be what you want your child to do. Taking initiative to save lives, that's the goal. This obviously is a last resort tactic, but one that can protect and save lives. Protecting lives at all costs will always be our goal. One important thing to note is we understand the abilities of students from the elementary all the way through secondary ages. We know that expectations to confront a intruder would not be appropriate at for an elementary student. But as compared to that to a middle or a high school student, we certainly know there's a difference. Therefore, we teach our older students in terms of confrontation will be different. E stands for evacuate. In a typical lockdown setting, everyone is locked in a room. But what if you have the ability to evacuate and run from the situation? This is a natural reaction and one that makes a lot of sense if we're able to evacuate. If our teachers and staff feel that they can evacuate the building based on the information they hand, we will evacuate the entire building or portions of the building. This could mean students can go to another building in our district, they go to their cars and leave, they could end up any location. We certainly allow this. You may say, well, how do you know where kids went? Well, that's a great question and one that we've addressed ourselves. But what we do know is if we can evacuate and remove the students from an area of harm, we will do that. That will save lives. We would rather have students away from the area than in the midst of a crisis, if it's possible. Again, this is all based on information that we know at the time. With most students possessing cell phones, we know parents will be contacted by students to let them know where they are. You might think this is somewhat chaotic, and yes, that could be, but you'd be right to say it's chaotic, but removing them from the area, even if they are running to another building, to the woods, to their cars, it will save lives. In the event that we do evacuate our students, they'll be instructed by the teachers of where to go, and our buses will follow and sent to that area to pick them up as soon as possible. Let's talk about training of our students. Your child's teacher may have talked with your children already, or will soon, approaching it in a non-crisis way. They've talked about scenarios that can lead to what I've just kind of talked about. Certainly these conversations are more appropriate at the middle and high school levels because of their ability to discuss and deal with these types of situations. But nevertheless, conversations about safety may have occurred already and will continue in the future. Students may have been asked to brainstorm how they could barricade a room. Recently, Chardon High School had the shooting in their school, and you may have heard that one room was barricaded by a piano. This is a great option to protect a room from an intruder. Engaging kids in this type of safety planning and activity can save lives. We hope that we'll never have to deal with a situation like a shooter in our schools, but we must be prepared nevertheless. More in-depth training for our student body will occur with our SRO, Michelle Ice, and Patrolman Chris Ryder. Your students will be taught even more techniques that will help them to remain safe, not only in our buildings, but these practices can be used for safety in other buildings, such as colleges, stores, etc. I also need parents to understand that in a crisis situation, once the police arrive on the scene, they immediately take control of our premises. You will not have access to our buildings until they deem it safe. Our driveways, entrances, exits, etc. will be secured. Information may be limited to you as well. I'm sure students will be texting and calling where they can. We will try to manage that as much as we can, but let's face it, it's virtually impossible to stop that kind of communication. We ask that you trust both the police and the school officials to manage the situation. As a parent myself, I want you to know that I have the children's best interests at heart, and I would want to have my children in my custody. But in a crisis situation, there are many other issues that we need to be concerned of, and we ask for your patience and consideration. I will communicate with you as soon as I can, telling you what happened, if you should pick your child up, where to pick them up, etc. via our 911 phone messaging system. It's the same system that we make calls about information around the district that you already receive. Again, the purpose of this video was to give you more information about some of the additional safety procedures we have and are continuing to put into place to ensure the safety of all. Let's hope and pray that we never have to use them, but in the event we must, we are prepared. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and if you have questions for me or our building principals, please feel free to contact us. Have a great day, and thanks for giving us the privilege of working with your children and you. Have a great day.